Hello everyone, my name is Emily. Thank you for stopping at my channel. If you've been here before, thank you, and if you're new, please subscribe and like. Welcome to my home. I would love to share with you, I'm making a baby blanket. I have a new grandbaby that's going to be here any day. However, I've made her plenty of blankets, so this might be to put back because when my grandchildren's teachers get pregnant, me and my daughter make baby blankets for them. So I have this beautiful, it's a cupcake from Lion Brand Yarns. I have 3 skeins, and I don't know how many it's going to take to make this baby blanket. So I'm just going to show you the basics of how to make this blanket. This is going to be great for beginners because it's going to be very easy. Now this calls for a 5mm crochet hook. However, I really feel like this yarn is really thin, and I want it to be really nice and close stitches. So I'm going to use a 4.00mm crochet hook. I think this will work really great with this size of yarn. I think I'm going to go from the outside. I usually do pull it out from the middle. However, I'm going to see how I like doing it from the outside. Now I'm going to go ahead and start my chain. And I've been doing it a little bit different. I've been taking my hook and I have my yarn in between my 2 fingers holding it, bring it over. I'm holding on to the 2 pieces of yarn right here. And I'm going to grab my yarn and I'm going to take it through that loop. Take it through twice and then I pull. When I pull it apart, it does not make a knot. So I go like this, I'm going to hold it together, grab my yarn and bring it through once, bring it through twice, and then I can pull it. Now I'm going to start my chain. So I'm just going to grab my yarn and bring it through. And I think I'm going to like this hook a lot better than if I used a 5mm because it does feel like it's making a nice little tight chain. I am not going to count. I'm just going to make it as wide as I want my blanket. You can do your width or your length. I am just going to make it as wide as I want my baby blanket to be. I'm going to be doing double crochets, so I'm going to show you how to do that. We'll be doing double crochets and chain 1 for this blanket. Then in a separate video we might do something really cute for the border. It's really easy to make a chain. You just have to hold your yarn and your hook however you're most comfortable. I am in Des Moines, Iowa, and it was 15 degrees below zero yesterday. It's extremely cold. So I do like taking the yarn from the outside, however, oops, I think it pulls out of the middle a lot easier after you get going a little bit, but that's okay. I kind of like the idea of starting my blanket off with this purple anyway. So if you use a bigger needle with this yarn, it would probably go a lot faster. I just want my stitches to be really nice and tight. When you crochet with your yarn, you'll want to look on the package and see what it calls for. This pattern you could use with chunky yarn Bernat baby blanket yarn. You could use any type of yarn you want to. I am going to be doing multiples of 7. However, like I said, I'm not going to count it, so if I have extra at the end, then I'll just take my knot apart and pull it to my last stitch. So I'm going to put I just have a little bit more to do. I just want it to be a nice size for a baby blanket. You can see I like to pull my fingers up close to my working stitches. I think that helps me control my yarn a lot better than if I did not. This yarn just seems so thin to me after working with the mainstay or the red heart yarn. I don't know why I couldn't remember what it was called. I use it all the time. That yarn's a lot thicker than this yarn is. Okay, these stitches worked up really quick. I think I'm right where I want to be. Like I said, I did not count these stitches. So when you get to where you want to be, I like to put my finger on that last stitch. Then we're going to start doing double crochets. We're going to do 6 double crochets, and then we're going to chain 1. We're going to skip 1 stitch, and we're going to do 6 more double crochets. I'm going to do 3 double crochets. 3 chains, and I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to go in to that stitch where I put my finger. The chain 3 will count as 1 double crochet. So we pulled through 2, pulled through another 2, and we did a double crochet. So this first one's going to count as a double crochet. So we have 1, 2, yarn over, go into the next stitch. You have 3 loops on your hook, pull through 1, you have 3, grab your yarn and pull it through 2, and pull it through 2. So now I have 1, 2, 3. 4, and I like to keep my yarn close to my work, like I'm not pulling it way out or anything. I want to make sure that my stitches are pretty close because this is really small, if you can tell. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to do 6. So we're starting our pattern right off the bat. Now I'm going to chain 1, which is what you were doing earlier with this chain. We're going to look here. You can see our double crochets in this chain. We're going to skip the next chain and go into the next one. So we're in this stitch, we're going to skip this one, and we're going to go in the next one. I am only going under one strand of yarn. And that chain 1 counts as this chain down here. Okay, so it's not like we're missing stitches. We're chaining 1 because we have 1 down here and we want them to stay the same. We want the same count at the end. So we're going to have a total of 6 double crochets here in this row. Get some more yarn off here. I hope this will be neater at the end, taking it from the outside. So I'm going to yarn over. Keeping my finger, I'm sorry if I'm keeping my finger on everything, you can't see anything. But like I said, I don't like to pull it up a lot, so I use these fingers to put on top to keep it from pulling it, especially since I'm going into this first chain. 1, 2, 3. Go into the next one under 1 strand of yarn. Here's 4, 5, 6, and we're going to chain 1, and we're going to skip. We're in this chain. We're going to skip the next one and go over to the next one. So you can see right there, that middle one we're not going to go into. We're only going under 1 loop. Now that's going to be our pattern all the way to the end. 6 double crochets, chain 1, skip 1, and then 6 more double crochets all the way to the end. Isn't it pretty? You can see the pattern already. And now that you've counted on this first row, when you go to do the next row and you're coming back, we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to skip this stitch right here. So we'll go into this one, we're going to chain 1, skip this one, go into this one. So we'll have little eyelets going all the way up our blanket. So I'm going to make this blanket. This is my first eyelet blanket. These are your little eyelet holes. And once I get done with this one, my next one, maybe I can start doing like a pattern with the eyelets. That's kind of exciting. I'm here close to the end. I did 1, 2. Here's my third. 4, 5, and then 6. So I'm going to have 2 stitches left. So what I'll do is I'll just take my knot out. I'll go back to here. But you know what? It's not that big of a deal right now. Just going to pull it out. And the way I put it on there didn't take much at all, and it kept it really loose. They're usually not loose at all. So there we go. So now that we're at the end, it is a good idea to use a stitch marker. So I'm going to grab one of my earrings. I like to use earrings. This one's really pretty. Anyway, I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3 for my double crochet. Now on this third one at the top is where I'm going to put my stitch marker. I'm just going to stick it right in there. That way I know that's where I'm going to go into when I come back. So I'm going to turn my work. Now this stitch right here, we're not going to go into that one. We're not going to go into that one because this is that stitch, because this does count as a double crochet, your chain 3. So we're going to yarn over. I'm not going to go into this one right next to it. We're going to go into the one after it. We're going to go underneath 2 loops. See that little heart there? Just going to go right under there, grab our yarn and bring it through. Yarn over, we're going to go right in that opening. Now it will be easier when you go across. If you're watching TV or doing anything, you won't have to count as much as long as you're watching what you're doing, because you're going to crochet all the way to here. And when you do, you should have 6 double crochets. So that first row counting is pretty important because you're going to base your whole blanket now off of this eyelet pattern that you've created. So now that I'm here, I have my chain 1 here. I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to skip that chain 1 and go over here to the next one. We're going to go right into that opening. Have 2 loops on there. Oops, I forgot to yarn over. Go into that opening. You have 2 loops and pull your yarn through and finish your double crochet. So now you can see our little eyelets are going to be right there. They're going to be nice and open, so you'll be able to see that pattern really nicely the farther you get. So that's going to be your pattern. And that's what you're going to do all the way through the rest of this blanket, going back and forth. if you use your stitch markers, it's going to make it really easy to tell where you need to go into at the ends. So I'm here at the next eyelet. I'm going to chain 1, skip that opening, and go into the stitch after. Like I said, I've never made an eyelet blanket before. I'm pretty excited to see how it turns out, especially with this yarn using a smaller needle than it called for. I'm sorry, not needle, hook. I think that I'm already in love with this double crochet with this small hook, because it's not real big. It will be nice and soft and delicate on a baby skin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have my chain. I'm going to make a chain, and I'm going to go into the next stitch. I'm going to go right into that hole. You can see it. You can see all the holes really nice. Just go right in there. Pull it through. There we go. So you got the whole pattern for the rest of this blanket. So we're just going to keep going all the way across. I'm here at the end of my second row. Well, we have the chain, row 1, row 2. You can see here at the very end that I have 1 and 2 left. So I'm going to do my double crochet in this one. It's going to look like I should be at the end, right? But you still have this one left. You still have your chain left. You still need to go into that chain. Let's put some light on the situation. So we still have that chain here, that chain 3 that we did. So we still need to go in the top of that chain 3. So when I did this first row, when I did my chain and we chained 3 and then we went, I didn't put a marker. So you can see how tough it is to see where you need to go without those markers. I want to make sure on the ends that I go under 2 strands. I want to make sure that my ends are nice and, I don't know what I want to say. I don't want it to pull out. So I want to make sure I go under 2 strands. Whoops, I didn't yarn over. Let's see. Was I in the wrong spot? Maybe I was. I don't want to go in where I'm already at. I want to go into the very next one. Top of that chain 3. Okay. Might only have to go under 1 strand because that was really hard to find. Oh, maybe I need to put my glasses on. There we go. That helps. But you can see here that I have my chain 3 and I went into that top of that chain. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can always count from that out, that eyelet over, and then I'm going to chain 3. So now I'm going to turn my work and I'm going to put a marker there. So then it will be easier to find where I'm going to go into. So we know when we come back this way, this is going to be the last stitch we're going to go into. And then it's always going to be straight on your end. You're always going to have 6 in this little group. And that will also help you to learn to keep your edges straight. So just keep doing this nice pattern and it will just keep growing. I'm really excited to see the color change on this. I have 3 skeins and I don't know how much I'm going to use on this blanket. So just keep on working, keep on crocheting. Isn't this pretty, my eyelet blanket? So this is 1 skein. Doc, I mean, really, come on. So you can see that it is pretty wide. I'm really happy with the way my pattern came out. So I have 6 single crochets and then I chain 1. And, oh, you're not Duck. I just put Duck down. This is Coco. I didn't even look. How rude. But I'm really happy with it. I like the pattern. I like the way my colors turned out. I did start from the outside. This one is the same color. But I did notice this skein that I had already used did not have this brown on the outside. So it's going to add a little something different, but all the other colors are the same. And I really love this color green, this avocado. Green is my favorite color. So I'm going to start from the outside of this one, and I'm going to show you how to join your colors. Yeah, this color is a lot darker. This must be the color. Well, no, it can't be the color that came after that, because I don't know. But it is the same kind, and it just has a different color. There's not too much of it, but I'm kind of excited to see it on here. I don't know if I can find the end. This is going to make a nice baby blanket because it's really nice and soft. There it is, I think. Down the end. There we go. Okay. So when I join my colors, I am really into knots because my daughter says that she hates it when I don't do knots because they don't seem to hold very well. So I'm going to take my two colors and cross them like this. Bring one over. It looks like a regular knot. But then I'm going to take this purple in my right hand. You can do it left-handed also. And I'm just going to wrap it around 3 times. Then I'm just going to pull it tight. And when I pulled it this way, it moved a little bit, so I didn't pull it too long, and then I pulled it this way, and now it's nice and tight. I'm not going to cut these. I want my ends to be a little bit long, because what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bury it. I like to bury my yarn. I think it works really well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to chain 1. Skip 1, go into that next one. And I thought this was going to be pretty seamless, but I've had to count a lot. So you can see here, this ended perfect because I have my strands here. And what I like to do, because I'm going to go underneath 2 strands, and if I run it, not running it under 2 strands, just 1. And then when I go crocheting, it's just going to secure that. And me going right over the top, and you're not even going to see it. So then when I get to the end where the chain 1, I don't want to go over that because then you'll be able to see it here. So I just turn around and go back 2 or 3. And I have some that's sticking out. So now I know that I can cut that off later. I'm going to pull it out a little bit. I'm just going to yarn over and go right under all of that. And it's nice and secure. It's not going to come out. And I can take my scissors and I can go ahead and cut that right off. Look at that. It buried it really nicely. Let me grab my scissors. Oh, that was a reach. Okay. So you can see here, and I'm just going to go really, nice and close to it. I'm just going to cut it. And I didn't cut it all the way up against there. You can see it coming out a little bit, but then just pull it a little bit. And I'm ready to just move on. have a cat sitting on my yarn and chewing on it. Stop it, Mr. Meow Meow. I'm never crocheting alone, never. So you can see this new color. Boy, it sure is darker than the rest of it. But that's the fun of working with this variegated, and the colors change so quick with this skein. I love seeing the colors change. So I found myself counting every time. There was twice that I forgot to do the single crochet in between, and then I had to pull it all apart. And of course I didn't figure that out until I had went all the way around and got there. But you want to make sure that you have that chain one, because if you don't, you're going to mess up your whole eyelet pattern. And you don't want to do that, because those eyelets are very noticeable and they stand out, and they're the best part of the pattern, I think. And I believe this pattern looks very fancy and maybe a little complicated if you don't crochet. And then it's not. It just takes a lot of counting. So, like I said, this is my first eyelet blanket, and I'm very happy and excited with it. So I'm going to keep going. Looking at this, I believe that 2 skeins might almost be enough, but then at the same time, I do want it to be nice and long, so it might take all 3. I will see at the end of this skein what I think. Beautiful. Here is my eyelet blanket. Isn't it beautiful? So I did about 154 stitches. I counted them. And you saw at the beginning how I did more chains than I needed, and so I just took off those extra chains. This is, oh my goodness, I just measured it. It's 3.5 foot wide. So I'm not done with it yet. I am going to finish it. This is how much I have left of my second skein. So I don't even think I'm going to need that third skein. If I don't use it on this blanket, I might just go ahead when I get done with this, because purple is the first color in the next skein, go ahead and do the top with purple, just so that it stays more uniformed. But I love this blanket. It looks so fancy and it's so easy to do. I hope you guys love this tutorial. And I am actually waiting right now for probably my last grandchild, who is going to be born. It's going to be a little girl. So I'm staying at my son and my daughter-in-law's right now. And I'm very excited to see this new baby, because they are just they're procreating, and my grandchildren seem to have lots of teachers that are having babies. I really love this blanket. I had a really good time making it, and I did do a short on YouTube, and I want to say thank you very much to everyone who commented and said that it was super cute. And this tutorial goes out to Carol. Carol, thank you for loving it, writing to me, talking to me, and telling me that you were going to make one. I really appreciate it when I can talk, write messages back and forth to people who watch my channel. I just love it, because this just tickles me. You can see how the colors changed all on their own. My daughter-in-law looked at it and she goes, "Why did you put that little bit of color? Why'd you put that there? Why?" And I didn't. That was where my first skein ended. And I started with the second skein right there. So this might turn out to be a little bit perfectly square if I don't put too much of the third skein on it. But this is a perfect size. It is really big. I am very happy with it, and it just looks so fancy, and it's so easy to do. Well, you guys have a great day. Stay safe. I'll be back soon. Please give me a comment and a like. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll be back soon. Bye.